Convenience has a price, even when you skip the fast food and head to the grocery store. On average, many of the items we get daily are marked up at least 40% and contain terrible ingredients. Today, I want to show you how to save that money by spending 5 minutes in your pantry with items you already have at home. From pancakes to crusts, breads, brownies, muffins, and more, box mixes can seem really cheap in terms of real dollars and cents, costing $1.25 to $3. But by using a few pantry basics like flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, sugar, and powdered milk if you like, you can save an average of 40% on many of the items that you might or might not already be making at home. Today, we're going to take this really short grocery list and put together several mixes that my family really enjoys. Now, of course, you do not have to go to the trouble to make these in advance and put them in jars. But what I found is it takes a lot less time when you're busy and need to get going that a few minutes of prep can avoid for you down the road. Today, we're starting off with waffle mix, which is a personal favorite for my kiddos. You just saw me grinding my flour. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can just buy a bag of all-purpose. And for the purpose of today's comparisons, I'm using prices straight off of this Sam's Club website to give you an example of the savings that can come from buying in bulk versus buying a mix straight off the Walmart store shelf. Here we have a box of Krusty's Belgian waffle mix. It makes 20 waffles at $2.76, which comes out to 14 cents of mix per waffle. Both this mix plus what you see me making now still need oil and egg added, so I did not account those into the final totals. My homemade mix comes out to 9 cents per waffle for a grand total of 38% saved. I know when we're talking about 5 cents here or 5 cents there, people think that might not be worth the extra time and effort. But it takes me less time to mix this up than it would take anybody else to go to Walmart and grab that box. Plus, I don't have to worry about being out because I have a bulk storage of these backstock ingredients here for me to use anytime that I need them. Additionally, when you stop thinking about it as 5 cents and start thinking about it as approaching 40%, that's a big difference. And when you do that over multiple different items that you prepare in your home all the time, it really starts to add up. I'll put the link to this specific waffle mix down in the comments, but the point here is not specifically to give you recipes, but to have you consider ways to make things that you already love at home. So if you have a favorite waffle mix, make sure to use that recipe. Just put your dry ingredients in a jar and put it on the shelf. One thing to note, when you're writing the rest of the directions on the jar like you just saw me doing, make sure to double check that. You saw me write extra water that didn't really need to be in there because I typically double this recipe and I didn't cut it in half, which will turn out to be a problem for me down the road. So for those curious, my waffle mix included 31 cents of flour, a penny worth of salt, 8 cents worth of baking soda, $1.30 worth of powdered buttermilk, and 24 cents worth of baking powder. You easily could leave out the powdered buttermilk and then just add milk to your final product instead of water when you're blending it up. But I like the powdered buttermilk because I feel like it cuts down on things I need to make sure to still have on hand once it's time to make the recipe. The next mix I'm putting on the shelf is a cake mix. And I compared this to just a regular old Betty Crocker, nothing fancy, which is $1.66 at the store, still needing water, oil, and egg added. I'm adding a cup and a half of flour, which is 16 cents, 3 cents worth of sugar, 29 cents worth of baking powder, and 2 cents worth of salt for a grand total of 50 cents into my cake mix. Now, even when I price out the extra ingredients needed, which are eggs, milk, and butter, I'm all in at $1.34 for this cake mix, where the Betty Crocker comes in at $2.91 for a 54% savings. And just to throw another note on how much you can save by making something like this at home, if you were to purchase a cake, even from the Walmart bakery, you're looking at $10 to $20 depending on what you get. So just by having a few simple ingredients and making these swaps to do it at home, you really can save a ton of money. And now that this is on the shelf, my kids are so excited for the day that we get to have cake that I guess I'm going to have to make it, which is a rare treat around here for sure. because typically I leave the sweets to someone else. Our third mix is pizza crust, and I want to use this one to show you something about the ingredients. This one contains bioengineered ingredients and also contains a warning that it has ingredients known to cause cancer. Now, I don't know about you, but ingredients are something that are really important to me. So while yes, you can pick up a mix at the store, it's always important to take a look at what's actually in it instead of just weighing out the cost. This also begs the question of what exactly is in the crust you get when you go to eat at a restaurant. There are restaurants that are super cautious and picky about their ingredients, but there are others that want to have the most profit margin available, and a lot of times those cheaper ingredients do come with some sacrifices for quality. Today what I'm making is a yeast-free recipe, so it sets well on the shelf. It has 1 1/3 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of salt, and those are the only dry ingredients you need. That comes to 43 cents worth of ingredients. And then when it's time to mix it up, we'll use a half cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and the total all in for my crust is 59 cents. If you use a packaged crust, you're looking at around $1.24, and with the oil that you need to add $1.34 for a total savings of over 50%. Something else I'd like to point out really quick while we're in between mixes is that I have not done any editing to take out the time involved in making up the mixes. I wanted to show you exactly how long this process takes when you're actually doing it start to finish, just to prove the point that it doesn't take a lot of time to make a big impact on your budget. And now we talk about blueberry muffins, or what should be called blueberry. If you take a look, it's got artificial blueberry bits as well as red dye number 40 and blue number 2 to make it appear to be blueberry. I'm actually not sure how this one passes the labeling laws to actually be called a blueberry muffin when it contains absolutely no blueberries. The fake blueberry muffins come in at 21 cents per muffin when all done, but for the sake of comparison, I did go get a real blueberry mix off the Walmart website from Krusty's to compare that actually contains actual blueberries, and it came in at 25 cents per muffin for the mix alone, and then 30 cents once adding the egg and oil that still need to be added to the recipe. The mix that I am making in front of you totals to 8 cents each, even including all of the additional ingredients, and it's really simple to make. You need 4 cups of flour, 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt, half cup of sugar, and 1 1/3 cup of baking powder for your mix. Now at this point I was trying to put it all in the jar just like I had done the rest, and then I realized that what I'm mixing up is actually a double batch of blueberry muffins. So I need the ingredients already pre-mixed in the jar so that when I'm pouring half of it out, I'm getting a little bit of everything in my blend for the muffins to come together. Once mixed, I put everything back in that quart jar. It is a little tight in the end, as you'll see, but with powder ingredients like this, when you tap them down, the air actually gets out of the jar. It compresses everything and makes just enough room for this full recipe to fit. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering if I added the price of the actual blueberries into my counting for this recipe, and the answer is yes. I added 6 cents worth of blueberries to every single muffin expense based on how much are needed for one serving of the recipe and what the cost is at Sam's currently for frozen blueberries. As you can see, putting these mixes together is really simple and goes really fast. In addition to the huge savings, you have control over the ingredients and can use pantry basics that you probably already have stocked at home. If you're new to bulk buying or looking to back up your pantry, check out Azure Standard as my personal favorite, or don't hesitate to look at Sam's Club or Costco, whatever's closest to you. If you like more details on bulk buying and all of my favorite choices, I'll link some videos for you at the end that you're welcome to take a look at. If you want to see what these mixes look like when we put them into action and fill up my freezer with some easy grab breakfast for my kids in the morning, make sure to subscribe because next week, that's exactly what we're doing. And in the meantime, catch some of my other content here.